Now, if your toolbox looks like this, insulated screwdrivers, your little bolt tester is a bit outdated. Basically, something your granddad handed you down, which, yes, they're good tools. Look at that knife, it's a half decent knife. But this is 2025. Unfortunately, this is for a car boot sale. What I'm going to go through in this video is the tools that you're going to need to be an electrician. And these are tools that I use every day and basically that I've accumulated up over time. So I'm going to run through all the tools that I've got and I use every day. Some of them, yeah, I bought and yeah, I probably don't use them, they're pants. A bit like these. Yeah, they were great when I first got them for like a day. But yeah, I don't really use them anymore apart from cutting the scrap up in the garage. So, all the tools that I use that I recommend to get are going to be in the show notes below in the description, and you can click on the link, put them in your Amazon cart. Just put them in your Amazon cart, in the basket, and then one day if they sit in there and you think, yeah, I could have done with that today, this is what I do. I stick them in my Amazon box, or basket, whatever it is, and then when I look at them I think, right, that's been in there for a week. I've never needed that. Scrap it off. But if you put them all in your Amazon cart, and then one day you look at it, you think, that would have been handy today. I could have had that. And what are they? 50, 60 quid? Depends what it is, I don't know. Depends what tool it is. Go and get it and see the advantage that it helps for you to be an electrician. So I'm going to start off opening the bag up. I'll start from the bottom. Basically, sit my ass down. Oh. So let's open the bag up and see the bits I use every day. Oh. There is obviously a tape measure. I would say a tape measure is a tape measure. They are better ones, of course, but let's open that up. But you lose them quite often. How many times have I been through a tape measure this year? This is probably my, I don't know, third or fourth tape measure. I leave it on site, I lose it, I put it in my pocket, I drop it. So a tape measure is a tape measure, but do get a decent one, like, because you're always going to need it. You're going to need a tape measure. I have 2 or 3 basically. I've got another backup one in the van as well. So you're going to need a tape measure because measurements are critical as an electrician. And then the thing you're going to need the most, screwdrivers. And yes, you might say, I've got a screwdriver, I've got a terminal. It does everything. But sometimes you're going to need a little screwdriver, especially for the transformers on these LED drivers, stuff like that. You need a little screwdriver to get in there to do them up nice and tight, and when they fit better, you get a better connection. So yeah, a selection of screwdrivers basically. I have got a selection of screwdrivers, Wearer, all different makes and models. I bought a selection of screwdrivers, and then one breaks, so I've grounded it down, because this was a posi drive, but I've grounded it down to a flathead now because it snapped. And again, you'll go through screwdrivers without a doubt. So now I've bought myself, this is the first Nipex one I've got. I got this from a show. Basically, I'm trying this one out now. I've only had this for a few weeks sort of thing, but yeah, I'm quite happy with it. It's my small posi. You're going to need a small posi. The ones that I use the most are basically my posi drive, my terminal. Where's that? That terminal is a Wearer one. Yeah, they are Wearer ones, isn't they? No, these are Wearer. These ones are Wearer. So what I mean, I've got thousands of different makes, but having a selection of screwdrivers will be a massive advantage for any job. So there are your screwdrivers, and then you're always going to need as well, look, I've even got a Facon one in there. I don't know why that's in there. I don't use it too often because I have got a decent posi one in there. But you will need, which is a good one to have, where is it gone? Another small terminal. So you got mainly 2 of everything. But don't tell me I've left that somewhere. No, a decent flathead. This is a medium-sized flathead. This is the perfect one for the 3.5 screws on a socket. So yeah, one of them. And then also, what you want is a big flathead. because when you go to a property that's old, they've used flatheads on the screws. So yeah, you're going to want a decent sized flathead. So there's a massive advantage of having a whole selection of screwdrivers. Don't just get 2 screwdrivers and think that'll do me, because it's a big advantage when your screwdriver fits the screw properly. It just makes your life easier. Right, so then we're going to go into cutters, and I use these all the time. Nipex cutters. I can't beat them. I think they're fantastic. The only problem I have got with these ones were brilliant, but every now and again I have to tighten this up to make sure that it gets a good cut on the cable, because sometimes this bit comes loose. I'm not sure what happened, but it comes loose sometimes and it's a little bit of a nightmare. But using these cutters are my everyday cutters. The only problem is with these again is when you terminate the twin and earth, you can't get in there to chop the bit of twin and earth off. So I've got a pair of side cutters as well. This is perfect. All these tools that make a bit more of an advantage. And I have, because I lost these for a bit, I went and bought some CK side cutters. It's got a bit of silicone on them. So I went and bought some CK side cutters, and I thought, right, I'll see which one I use the most. But I do go for these a little bit more. They're just, I don't know, they feel a bit more sturdy, I think. CK ones are good, obviously, and these are just the standard sort of side cutters. These ones are just a little bit smaller to put in my pocket to hang around. So yes, I've got 2 pairs of them. Right, so that's my cutters. But when I do like maybe a rewire, and you've got no end of 2.5s to make off or twin and earths to make off, I use these. These will strip the twin and earth, and they do make it a lot neater than stripping it with side cutters, to be honest. So these are quite good to use as side cut for stripping cable, and you can use these to strip the twin and earth, and then when you've got it back, you can strip the cores inside the twin and earth or the cable as well. So these become in quite handy. You don't necessarily need them, of course, but these are the things that you accumulate up over time. What you're gonna want is a decent hammer. This hammer I've had for maybe a few, well, 2 or 3 years now. It's a little Weirha hammer. It's lovely and little, and it fits in your bag so you can carry it everywhere. And also it fits in the side of your pockets so you can drag it around with you all day as well. And it's just a handy hammer. I don't think electricians, I don't use a lump hammer too often unless I'm chasing, which I've got another lump hammer for that. But this hammer to knock in your little clips or just a little bit of a persuader sometimes, it is very handy for, well, no end of job sort of thing. So I like this little hammer. Even when you're pulling the clips out, it's got the claw at the end as well. It's a decent hammer. So this is a Weirha hammer. Cable ties, don't know what I've got them in there. Right, 100% you're gonna need a decent Stanley blade. Let's be honest. So I've got this Klein Tool Stanley blade here, and this Stanley blade is perfect because it fits, it more likely sits in my pocket all day, because you're opening kit up or terminating cables or anything really. You always need a blade, and this is easily interchangeable, so I can change round. But then the advantage of this as well is it's got a screwdriver bit in the end. To be honest with you, I forgot about that. I never use it. I've always got a screwdriver in my pocket. But this is just like another little feature you got. So if you've got a Stanley knife and you need to get a box off the wall or something, yeah, you can use it. I did wonder, let's put that down. Oh, sugar, I don't know how to close it down now. Right, you've got to get your finger in there and close it down. So yeah, it'll only open right up and you can use it as a screwdriver. It's just another little feature, but this knife is a good knife, same as any knife really, but you will need a knife as an electrician. You're always using a knife. Right, let's go on to something now that I bought thinking I'd use all the time. This is the Weirha Joker spanner. It's a 10mm. I went and got the 10mm one thinking, yeah, that'd be handy to do them little nuts up all the time and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't use it a lot. This is me personally. It goes from 10mm to 7mm. So yes, it would be an advantage. I do use it every now and again, but it's a bit of a ball ache to use, to be honest. Like I'd rather just get a pair of grips on it. This is the thing. So these Joker spanners, if you're a tool fanatic, yes, get one. That might be an advantage, but I don't use it too often. Put it back in there because, I don't know, I'd rather a 10mm spanner or a pair of grips. Right, talking about grips, I've got the Weirha adjustable grips. These ones, you can just adjust themselves, and they're good. They do the job. I've had them for a little while, but sometimes they get stuck and they don't get, look, see, like that, they get stuck. So you've got to faff around with them to get them undone. So, oh, there we go. They do come undone. Maybe it needs a bit of WD on them, but they are good. So I thought, right, I'm going to go and get some Nipex ones because both of them aren't insulated. They're not VDE ones, but I went and bought the Nipex ones. And I think these ones, you can lock them in place. Like if I'm going to do a certain nut, I can get them into that size, and that's what size I want. If I want it smaller, it will stay on that size. So these Nipex ones for now are my go-to grips. So I've got a couple of pairs of grips of them. And then what I also keep in my bag is a bolster. Because sometimes when you're doing a bit of chasing, you just need to knock it off a bit. And rather than using your favourite screwdriver, yeah, I'll probably use that a few times, as you can see, but just have a bolster. You can knock it off a lot easier. And yeah, I sharpen that up every now and again as well to make my life easier. Right, and then also in your bag, which 100% you're going to need, especially if you're an electrician. This is the thing. If you're a spark, you want a Torx screwdriver. And this Weirha, I keep saying Weirha and Weirha, getting mixed up. This Weirha one has been spot on. The only thing you've got to remember to do with this is torque it back down. Torque it right back down when you put it away. But in here, well, for a little while when I lost my small posi drive, I could use this as my screwdriver. It's got all different fittings in there, Torx heads and everything. It's spot on. I will say that some of these ones are special headed for the terminals on an MCB, RCBO, something like that. They fit nice sometimes, but they were a bit crap in other times. So yeah, that's probably why you've got a selection that goes in. It's more than likely me using it in the wrong environment, but you've got a whole selection of posi drive ones that fit perfectly to be able to torque up the MCBs and RCBOs inside a board. And I think this one, let's see what it goes up to. Because normally they're 1.7 at the top and then probably 2 or 2.5 newton meters at the bottom. So this one will go all the way up to 3 newton meters, or it says on there 2.9. So 2.9 newton meters, so that's perfect for a board. You don't want to do more than that because they'll round it off. But let's put it back down. Easily just push that down and you can locate it back to 0. Because if you leave it stretched out, it doesn't sometimes work as well. I've noticed that. So yeah, put it always back to the same torque. But that is another piece of kit that I always keep in my bag. Right, what else we got in here? Right, in here, this is handy. I tell you what, this is handy, this Klein knife for when you're doing Celotex. Because yes, a pad saw can be fantastic, but it makes a bit more of a mess. This one, you can get a nice round bit if you need to cut in a downlight in a bit of Celotex. This is perfect for that. And yeah, it's a decent knife. But then of course, sometimes you've got plasterboard. So I've got the Stanley Fat Max plasterboard. Pad saw, basically. You're going to need a pad saw sometimes. You're cutting in them things. If you can't bother to go and get your multi-tool, which we'll get to in a little while, then you've got your pad saw. If you're going to cut one socket out of a plasterboard, or maybe you're just tidying up the edges of something. But yeah, you're going to need a pad saw as a sparky. And another thing, which you will need, this is probably a critical one again, a torch. When sparkies go into a property, more likely you're there because the lights don't work. You've got to have a little torch. And this is a Unilight torch. And it's got a magnetic bit on the end as well. That's not magnetic. So let's just, this blade should be magnetic. There we go. So you can position it on your fuse board. I would have liked it to be the other side, to be honest, like the big light, because then you can position it over your fuse board when you're looking in. But it has got a little light on there as well. So if you are doing something on a fuse board, you can bend it in to have a look in there. But this is what I use it for, basically to snout round in places. And it's quite durable as well. I haven't broke it yet. Normally I break everything. But yeah, this light is spot on and it's nice and slimline. Only thing is, like a lot of things these days, they don't come with replaceable batteries. So you plug it in your van every now and again. But this one as well, what I like about it, it's got a little light on it that will tell you, it will start flashing when it's going flat. So it doesn't just go off. It will tell you before it's gone completely dead. So that is a massive advantage as a spark. To have a torch, you've got to have a torch. Have a torch in your bag. That's one thing that you will need. And then another couple of little things. Little stud buddies. Stud buddies are fantastic. I think these are great, especially when you're doing downlights, because you can just stick them to the ceiling, find out where the joists are, how they go, and have a couple as well. You can't get away with just one, because I suppose you can put one up, mark it, put one up, mark it, stuff like that. But these I like to put up and see exactly where I can see, right, the joists run that way. And this is how my lights are going to go. For when it helps before you start marking out the lights. Because, yeah, you can't hit a joist. This is the thing. And if you drill into a joist, you're weakening that structure. Yeah, it's going to come, it's going to be a nightmare, basically. So, yeah, having a couple of stud buddies in your bag is another bonus. Right, so what else we've got in this end? A level, a little boat level. You don't necessarily need this climb one, which I recommend though, because it's got a light on it. It's flashing a little bit there, but this light, it just helps when you're in the dark, maybe. For when your eyes get a bit done when you get a bit older, so you can see on this level easily, because it's got a little LEDs in every little bubble, so you can tell where it is. And it's hard wearing as well. Again, it's metal, so it's not plastic, so it hasn't snapped or broke. I've had this for a little while, throwing it around like mad. Like I say, I break everything. But this one is a spot on little boat level, and basically you're gonna need a level as an electrician, because yes, you can put the sockets in, but the thing is the customer will notice, that freaking dog's annoying, shut the flip up. They're my dog. The customer will notice. The thing is, the only thing a customer will notice is that it's not level. If it works, it's spot on, it's done lovely. But if it's not level, the customer will cry about it. Always have in your bag some spare blades, because it's a nightmare when you're trying to cut maybe a bit of armoured cable and your blades are flipping all gone. So these are a pack of spare blades that I keep in there handy, so I'm not trying to cut anything that's struggling. I've always got a nice sharp blade, because if you've got a sharp blade as well, you can do the job a little bit neater. If your blade's blunt on your Stanley knife, yeah, it makes a mess of things and just makes your life a little bit harder. So have a decent blade. These are little crimps, and if you ever made off any armoured and you don't want to just twist it and wrap it round the nut, you put a little lug on the end. So these I only use for that really. You don't necessarily need these. You can crimp them with maybe, yeah, you can crimp them with these, but with this you get a nice tight fit. So I do use these all the time when making off armoured, when you're doing flying leads and stuff like that inside a metal box. And then also in your bag, a volt stick. I've got this Klein Tools one again, and it is a nice little volt stick. You turn it on, it goes blue light, and when it's live, it'll go red. And then this has got an added feature on it. It's got a little bit that tells you how hot things are. So you can put it on an MCB and go, oh, that's 29 point. You can say, oh, that's 29.4 degrees. My hands are pretty hot, maybe because I've got these gloves on. So having a volt stick, because this is your first port of call, I wouldn't rely on this to tell you the truth, but if you're looking for a circuit, right, which one to turn off, it is handy to start with. So yeah, I would say as an electrician, it's critical to have a little volt stick in your bag. You don't need the one that tells you the temperature though. You can if you want. I'll leave it in the show notes below, description to it, so you can put it in your car. It is handy, but I don't necessarily use that temperature sense a bit much at all. Could get away with not having it, to be honest. Right, what I also have in my bag, which you're gonna need all the time, It's a pencil. Of course you're going to need a pencil. These little pencils, where you can use a lead, because it doesn't snap off. Well, you can snap it off if you add too much, but these are handy as anything because they've got a small little bit at the end where you can poke them through the holes to mark. When you're marking boxes to put them straight on the wall, this is a spot on bit of kit, these little pencils. I used to just use these because you can get these 10 to the dozen. I think I've got a few more of these as well for when someone calls me up, I can write their name and number down. But I use this all the time. This is my go-to little pencil. You can shove it in your pocket and you use it all the time for marking stuff out. Just put that back in there. And a little 3.5 tap. So if you use these are basically when you take a socket off, especially in an older house when you're in an EICR, something like that. Take a socket off to test it, it'll never go back properly. And you can see on the thread on them screws, sometimes they're threaded. This will just re-tap that thread and you put a new screw on and it'll make the socket go back on neater than it was, possibly. Or it'll make it go on secure anyway, so you can leave that property nice and secure rather than having to faff around and knock the box out and put a new box in. But yeah, these are spot on as well. I recommend having one of them in your kit. What are they, about 10, 15 quid? So yeah, I would say grab yourself a little threader, a 3.5 one as well. I made the mistake of just going into the wholesalers, grabbing a threader, and it was a bleeding 4mm. Yeah, found out the hard way when I tried to use it. I thought this hole's a bit big. Yeah, it didn't work out. And then also what I've got in here is you don't necessarily need these, but these are little flush cutters. So if you're going to cable tie anything, like you cable tie a box or you cable tie cable, you can cut these off nice and flush. So basically the next electrician that comes along, or anybody that's working in the area where you've cable tied a cable, they don't cut their arms or hands open. So having some of these is an advantage, but not a necessity. Once again, you don't need them. And also what I've got in my bag is some pens. You're going to need some pens. Sometimes pencil's just not good enough. Basically when you're rewiring a house, say you've run a load of lighting wires in, you want to know which one's two-way for hallway, two-way for lounge. Especially these days they've got a bank of switches. So you can say, right, this is the incoming supply, live and neutral in, switch live out, switch line spotlights, switch line plinth lights, something like that. And rather than write it in pencil, you've got to have a pen. So I recommend sticking a few pens in your bag as well. And this is another little screwdriver that I do recommend having. It's very handy. It's a little stubby. You can have two separate stubbies, like a posi and a flathead, but I just keep this one in there because it's just an advantage when some dingbat has put a board straight up in a cupboard. You can't get your screwdriver in there, so you can get your hand in there and a small little stubby just to get that board off, and you've got a flathead and a posi in there as well. So I'll keep that in the bag as well. And these are a set of Allen keys. These are basically Torx head Allen keys, which I keep in my bag because they come in handy for certain security screws. There are a lot of Torx head. You can get some that are Allen keys, but the Torx head ones will fit an Allen key as well. If it's not rusted and you can get it off with a Torx head, it will do the trick. Some of these light fittings, they come with anti-tamper screws. So you're going to need a set of Torx Allen keys. So that is another advantage that I keep in my bag, but not completely necessary. Before I had them, I had my selection of screws. So if it was an Allen key in there, okay, yeah, I've got a set of Allen keys somewhere as well in that side pocket. Yes, I've got a set of Allen keys in there, but I did use my screwdrivers just to get it off. Sometimes you can. So there's one of these screwdrivers will fit one of them little Allen keys. Well, probably won't fit, but you bodge it in there, you know. So then this is the bag. There's a few more bits in there that aren't critical. What else have I got in there? Pens, flush cutters, another volt stick. But then something hanging off the bag that I use all the time is, well, this basically for starters is hanging off the bag, because rather than being in the bottom of the bag and having to open up the bag to get it to test see if there's a live on that circuit, I've got this. This is my little socket holder, which if you're testing you can plug it in and zero your leads as well. But this is perfect because I've got my little socket tester in there. This is an upgraded socket tester for the one that I used to have. I used to have this one. It tells you the live, neutral and earth. And basically it's got continuous, you want all three lights. it's got a description on there. It tells you what's wrong, basically a lot all the time. So it's either got a live and reverse. It will tell you whether you got a live and neutral. It's got a fault on the neutral, a fault on the earth, or no tone at all. You ain't got a live. So this will tell you a lot of things. Having a little socket tester, yeah, I think that is critical for any electrician to have as well. You've got to have that on there to see if the sockets are live and that. But this one as well, you can shut it up, turn the tone off, because it does beep if it's live. But the advantage to this one is you can press that little button, and if it's an RCD protected circuit, it will trip the RCD, and if also the RCD works, to be honest. So you can trip that circuit for testing the RCD. You can test the RCD, and if you've got to replace a socket, you can trip it to knock it off. Then you go to the board and you know exactly what circuit it is you're working on. So there's no guessing. This is why I got one of these ones, so you can test it. It makes my life easier, and yes, I use this every day. Something else that hangs off the bag. This is, let's get it off. This is Sleeve It from Velocity Pro Gear, and this is handy because you don't have to have earth sleeving hanging off your trousers all the time. It's just got a little spool in there. Well, to be honest with you, it's got 2 spools in there. They're secured in, and you can just take out as much as you want. I've jammed this one in quite a lot here, look. So this is nice and tightly packed. And rather than having it hanging off your trousers, and you know what it's like when you're hanging off your trousers and you've just got enough. Oh, you've got to go back to the van and get more anyway. So I have this hanging off of my bag, so I can just get exactly as much as I need. And if it runs out, I've got a backup. So you can have 2 of them in there hanging off your bag. It makes it nice and convenient. Obviously for this, it's not something that you need to have all the time, but it's cool. You know, if you want something that makes your life easier, grab one of them. Because when you're doing a board as well, once again, I'll show you with this, it's magnetic. So if you're doing a board, obviously it'll be metal. You can put this on the side and just take out as much earth sleeving as you want. It's a massive advantage. I think, yes, grab yourself one of these because it makes your life easier. I didn't think I'd use it as much, but I do. I use it all the time. Let's put that back on the bag. Should have took it off. So that is what's in my tool bag. This is something I want to show you as well. This is something that I didn't think I'd use, but I thought, yeah, let's have a go. This is from Klein Tools as well. Basically, you've got a 12mm, a 10mm, which you can take them off and use them inside your impact driver. Right, that way. There we go, that way. So you can use them inside your impact driver. They've just come in so handy. It's got a 14 and a 13 and a 7 and an 8. You can get them in different selections as well if you want, but I just use these ones because I use the 13 and the 8s all the time. I took a sky dish down the other day. It's made it a breeze. So I think this is a massive advantage. And yeah, you don't need it again, but it's one of them tools that I think, go get it, see if you use it. It's a brilliant bit of kit. And then again, so then let me show you what's hanging off the end. With this bag, this is a Klein Tools bag again. Get yourself a rucksack bag. Rucksack bags are fantastic, especially if you're in and out of different jobs every day. If you're on site, yeah, fine, but you can open it up and get to all your tools. You can put them back as well easy, which I'll show you in a bit. But this is a brilliant bit of kit. These are from Armeg, and you can just put them on the side of your bag. I thought these might fall off. They don't. I've got a longer bit in there. I've got a flathead. I've got so many bits and bobs hanging off the end that just comes in handy. I've got a load of drill bits, some spares as well. But then obviously you're going to need a load of tape. So if you get a bag, more than likely a lot of bags these days, they come with a little bit to put all your tape on. And that hasn't ever broke, to be honest, so that's quite good. So yeah, that's an advantage as well. One of these little things, this was from TikTok shop. I thought I'll get this, and if I use it, I'll go get the Nipex or the Wago one. It's basically to terminate flex cable, I think. I hardly ever use it. I use it sometimes to maybe get myself into using it and see if it's an advantage, but you just use your cutters all the time. So you don't need one of these at all. You can get one, yes. But yeah, I don't think you need it at all, especially if you're starting out. If you're risking, don't ever get one. But if you want to waste a bit of money, go buy yourself one. Or ask for one for Christmas. That would be a good idea. Ask for one for Christmas and see if you use it. And one more critical thing you're going to need in a tool bag. A little volt tester. This is something to test that basically, well, this one's got a little light on it as well. Look, this is the Kewtech one. This is to test if you've got 415 volts, 12 volts. It does it all. Oh, it doesn't do 12 volt then. Yeah, it does 12 volt, 24 volt as well. And then let's turn that light off. Oh, you can't turn it off once it's on. But there we go. And continuity as well. I always use this for continuity, just to initial test to see if you've got continuity. If an RCD keeps tripping, you can test the neutral of the earth to see what's there. So yeah, this is great as well. But I also, so you don't need to get a Kewtech one, you can get the Fluke one as well. They're both sort of the same price, but I got that one free with my test kit, which I'll show you in a little while. This one as well is for continuity, and it tells you that, and the only reason I went and got another one is because I had to write the numbers on there. I've used this so much that yeah, the numbers are all worn off. I pretty much know 400 volts at the top, 12 volts at the bottom, 230 in the middle, and you've got a little beeping light to show continuity. So, and all the lights work, it tells you that. But the thing is with this one as well, I think it's a little bit better, because you can put that on the live and it'll tell you on there where it's live, or that end on the live. With this one, you've got to put the main lead, this one on the live, to tell if it's live. I was doing some testing the other day and I put this on the live and I thought, that's dead. It wasn't. You have to put this end on. So you can't use this as easy as you can the Fluke one. So I would recommend, if you're starting out, grab yourself a Fluke voltmeter. This one's better. These are the only ones I've used so far. Obviously I've had that one for years, so this one's done the trick spot on. So a little volt tester is something that you will need as well, because even though you've got this that tells you yes, you got voltage and it's live, you need to test it with this as well, and then you can test that it's dead by proving it, turning it on, make sure it works, turning it off, yes, it's the right circuit. So basically this is critical for electricians to have as well. And of course you want one like this because you can hang it around your neck when you're working, because you're always testing, make sure that it's dead, and testing continuity and things like that. It's another thing that hangs off a bleeding electrician all day. So then what we want to do is put it all back in the bag somehow. And what I try and do, it's a mess really. Right, what I try and do is keep my knives in one bit, so I know where everything is. This is why I don't like people come along and go, "Oh, pack your tools away, mate." Leave them alone. I know where everything goes. Don't start playing with my bleeding kit and packing it away for me. I appreciate the offer, but they're mine and I know where everything goes. I've got my cutters on this side, so when I open the bag up, I know exactly where things are and exactly what I want. To be honest with you, I could probably get rid of some of this. For some reason I've got 3 sets of bleeding things in it, 3 sets of roll grips even. Right, and then what I try and do is keep my flatheads on one side and then my posies on the other. So this is my flathead side. I haven't all out there yet. That's my flathead side. So my terminals and my big flatheads all on one side. So then when I go to get anything, I know where to look. It makes my life that little bit easier. That one. That one. So I keep all of these, this end, all this. Again, I've got the amount of screwdrivers I've got. I should really just scrap them off and have one set. But they all come in handy, so I keep them in. This bolt stick will go in there. The light will go in there. The hammer, that is spread out, will go in there. That, sugar. I don't know where that fits now. Some things need to go in certain places. But there's another pencil. Got another pencil, probably got 3 of them as well. Because if you're on site, if you ever had the plumber come over and go, "You got a pencil, mate?" At least you can give them one. Or tell them to get lost. So then that will go in here. Get that sit down there. That can go in there. A lot of the things you want to get nice and handy. There's a little clip on the side for that to go in. Oh mate, I forgot where that goes. That can go in here. So there's a lot of stuff that you carry around. That's going to go over that side. And then you just shut it up. This just always sits in there because whenever I open my bag up, I always need that. So that will just sit in there rather than getting the screwdriver. I'll try and shove it in between something to hold it in neat. There's a little bit of gap in the bottom where I've got a bit of tape. And some 3.5 screws. Oh, look at these. I carried some of these. These are just from the sockets that I'll put on, and they're just spares. So they'll come in handy as well. So then I can shut it up. And then do it up. It's always a bit of a nightmare. But once it's done up, everything's in. And that's it, you're ready to go. But there is some more pockets on this bag as well, with some more tools in that, let's have a look. Are they critical? They're all just a bit, I don't know why I got them. I don't use them anymore at all. This key, yes, I use that all the time. And then these I use on and off. These are little Ferrule crimpers, especially if you're doing flexi cable. Stranded flex, basically just to crimp the ends to make it a little bit neater. And then also, which I got packed in here, it's surprising the amount of kit I get in one bag, is my cable tongue. This is handy, because if I don't want to go to the van and get the rods, it makes your life easier. If you haven't got a cable tongue, this is, again, not critical, but if you want to up your game and make your life easier, it's a good tool to have. Stick it on your Christmas list. It makes your life that much easier. Cable tongue. The guy that invented that, good lad, spot on. So I get that in there, and this sits in here as well. But then there's also something in this top bit, because every now and again you will do some network cabling. So what I've got is my little tester. This is a little tester. I've got another tester for RJ45, but you can get away, if you're doing network cabling, you can get away with using this. And the crimper. And I like this because it tells me how to do it. So if I'm going to say, right, I'm going to do all the colours all the same, I'll do that end, and then obviously go around doing 10 or 12 maybe ends, crimp them up to make sure they're all the same. And then when they test out first time. But I do use this as well, and if you do a lot of network cabling, I think this is spot on. It's a wicked little bit of kit. Basically, you just open it up, put your cable in there, twist it round, and you can get it off nice and neat without, it doesn't damage any of the cords as well. So this is a good little thing. Basically, in this bag, you'll find everything that I need. And I stick in this bag as well. This is a little GPS tracker. So if anyone picks this bag up, it's mine. I know where it is. Someone's picked it up and moved it. So I've got that, and that all fits in there like so. And this is the bag that I carry around every day, all day. Yeah, it's got a lot of stuff in it, eh? You don't necessarily need all that stuff, but all the stuff in there makes my life easier. I do go through it every now and again, thinking I don't use that, because after a little while, you realise what you do and don't need to carry around every time, because it just gets heavier and heavier with the amount of kit that you buy. So then this is your hand tools and your handball. So this is your hand tools that you carry around every day, but there is some more tools you need. So let's jump onto them. There's so many different brands out there. Milwaukee, Makita, DeWalt, Hilti, Bosch. All of them do the job, but it depends what you get on with, basically, what you want to use. I am a Makita person. I have Makita. Basically, I've got 2 of these. You don't need 2, but I've got a tray. Yes, it's in a Milwaukee pack out kit, but I've got all these. And then inside here, I've got different fittings as well that I can use. The minimum you're going to need is a little impact driver, because you can drill holes of it and stuff like that. You're going to need this, basically. This is going to be something that you're going to need all the time, and a decent one as well. You can get away with the cheap ass ones, but you think if you're going to use it all the time, then and it goes down and it's wrecked, you can't do your job. You want to get a job finished, you've got to go and do it by hand. You've got to go back to the van and get this stupid thing that, so I can't drill that hole anymore. You've got to go to your granddad's house, so I have to borrow a drill off a customer. No. Don't know why I got that, but someone gave me that, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm interested in stuff like that. So an impact driver to start with, definitely what you're going to need. And then you might as well get yourself a drill. Oh, that doesn't sound right, does it? A drill. Because this drill as well, I think it comes in a kit. I think this one's wrecked. That's better. It won't right, because you've got drill on here. You've got where you can do up screws. So basically, you can shove your screw bit in there and do it up to a certain torque. This is why I like these Makita kits, because they've got all this. And then on it as well, you've got hammer, where you can use it as a hammer drill. It's not bad as a hammer drill, but I never really use it as a hammer drill because it doesn't do the trick really. I can use this if it's too much for this. This is going to struggle, but you do need a drill. For basically when you're drilling metal, I think trunking and stuff like that, you're going to use a drill all the time. If you're working on industrial or commercial, I don't use this day in, day out. I use this every day. So the minimum you're going to want to get is an impact driver. And you don't need 2 of everything. But for some reason, I have 2. Just so I can have different drill bits in different drills. It makes my life easier when I'm doing a rewire, saying I've got my kit everywhere. And what you do want though, as I say, you want as many batteries as possible. Really, many batteries that will fit in your kit, because when they go flat, it's a nightmare. And when you're on site as well, the first thing you do is stick your charger on, because if your battery goes flat, it slows you down. You want to get that job done. And then what you also want, which again, it's not compulsory, you don't have to have it. And I put myself off having one of these for a long time, because I thought, I don't need one of them. Rubbish, what's the point? Now I've got one, I wouldn't be without. The first thing what I did, I went to and bought a cheap one that plugs into 240 volts. And it was handy, but you had to get the extension lead out all the time to plug it in. So I thought, right, that's it. I'm going to get myself a multi-tool, a proper one that will go with the rest of the batteries. So within your kit as well, if you've got Milwaukee, Makita, Hilti or Bosch, just get the same brand. Just get the same brand multi-tool, and you will use it all the time. If you're on every week this comes out at least. So it's one of them tools that I put off getting, but yeah, you can't live without now. It makes your life so much easier with so many different scenarios. And again, I've got no end of batteries, because you like to keep your batteries charged. And this is one little tool that'll be an advantage. This is called a dade. When you're doing downlights, I don't know if you've ever done them in people's houses where you're drilling out the holes in the plasterboard, dust goes everywhere. And yes, they moan. Get this, it'll go over the hole saw and go in your drill, and you can just catch all the dust, put it straight in the box. It's spot on. When I first got this, I called this a condom, just because it looked like one. But now I know it's called a dade, because you can't go on to Google and search condom. This will not come up. Go on to Google and search dade. This will come up. There is rubbish ones as well. So don't get them little plasticky things that snap all the time. You want to get ones that are quite durable. Basically, again, you get what you pay for. Spend your money and get a decent one, because you can wash this and stuff like that as well. I've had this for what? It's got to be a couple of years now, and I do use it all the time. So it's a good bit of kit. But then again, if you want to go that bit further, this I put off buying once again, like the multi-tool. I put off buying so much because I thought, I don't need that. It's stupid. A little grinder, not a chance. Where is it? It's locked in. Sugar. But that's just for when you're doing a straight line. I've used this the other day. You might have seen a video where I used it to cut out the floorboards. That tongue and groove, where it's got the groove in there, and you just need to get that bit of groove off to get the floorboard up. This was perfect for that. And I use it to sharpen my drill bits, or you sharpen my screwdrivers sometimes, even forward and backwards as well. It's just handy. It came with 3 different blades. Where are they? I suppose, yes, I need to get a new one of them now. It's a bit battered, but it still does the trick. And these different blades are metal, plastic, concrete. If you're doing a little chase, put that in, it'll go straight down. For a small chase, other than that, you get another bit of kit out that will chase it in. But yes, having another one, one of these is a big advantage. Once again, it's one of them tools that I don't think I needed. I didn't think I wanted. But yeah, if it broke, I can't buy a new one tomorrow. But then, like I was saying as well, this is great for screws. This is great for drilling holes. Sometimes you need to drill a 25mm hole for a bit of conduit maybe, or maybe a 4-inch hole for an extractor fan. That's where this comes in. This one as well is a 36 volts, so it's got 2 batteries on, but this one will be the big drill if I need to get it out. And it's on this, you've got drill, so obviously when you're drilling a 4-inch hole, sometimes you just need it on drill, but it's the hammer drill. And this is sort of the bee's knees, especially if you're chasing. If you're chasing, you ain't got a chaser, you can stick the chaser into the end of it, you can just put it on hammer and it'll chase it all out. But then you can move it around as well to certain degrees. So this is another advantage. If you're an electrician working on your own, someone's got to have one of these. Someone's got to have a decent drill to be able to do big holes, or 4-inch holes, or just for chasing basically. It is, I'm sorry, it's a must-have. It's one of the most expensive parts to be an electrician. Expensive tools, I think, you're gonna have to treat yourself to. So get yourself a decent SDS drill. So they're all the power tools that you need. There's a few extra little bits as well that I'll show you that I don't think are necessary to have possibly when you're starting out, but these are things that I've accumulated over time that just make your life that much easier. But before I get onto that, I forgot to get that out of the way. Before I get onto that, if you're an electrician working for yourself, again, you're going to need a test kit. A test kit that's calibrated as well. You've got to have something that's going to test the work that you've put in. And I've got here Kewtech. I get on with Kewtech. I had a Kewtech before, so I've went and got myself a nice little Kewtech tester, which again, they're not cheap. This is one of the main tools that you want to look after. I say it's a bit dirty, but yeah, this is a decent bit of kit. KT66DL. This is the smart bit of kit that I like to use all the time, and it's just got all the settings on there. That nice digital display. It just makes my life easier with a decent test kit. And you can, as well, that's a necessity. You need one of them. You don't necessarily need these little bits. You can test GU10 lamps without having to take in the actual light fitting down. And this little bit of kit, it comes with all different fittings for lights, like little ES screws, SES screws, and these little things that I've accumulated over time. If I was doing a lot of testing, well, I have done a lot of testing in the past, which this is why I got this, because it makes my life easier. I don't have to take the whole light fitting down. And then that is something, but also what I got with this kit as well is the little test probe. This probe where you can press and test, because when you're juggling around with the kit around your neck, you're holding the live and neutral on, you've got to be able to test. So this is a good little test probe as well, which comes, well, it doesn't come with the kit, I think it's an add-on, but with your test kit you've got to have the best, not the best, but you've got to have a decent test kit, and it's got to be decent because it's got to be calibrated every year for your test results to make sure that it's not giving you false results and you're not put a dodgy supply in and you have got a problem. So you need to get it tested, calibrated every year to make sure it works. Another little thing is a little amp meter. I use this every now and again. It's not critical to have, but it's handy. So if you've got a problem on a circuit and you put this on, you can tell how many amps. 9 times out of 10, not 9 times out of 10, 1 times out of 10, some dingbat has just overloaded the circuit and don't know why it keeps tripping. Because they've overloaded it, this is perfect for that, because you can say, right, it's on a 6 amp fuse and you're pulling 23 amps, mate, when it first starts up. That's why it's no good. You've got to separate it up. People sometimes think just because you've got a lighting circuit there, you can run thousands of lights. You might run thousands of lights, but if they were like 0.01 amps, this will help you determine out that problem. So a little test kit, you don't have to necessarily critically need one of these, but yeah, I like that as well. It's an advantage. So that's your test kit, which you're going to need. Another addition to what I've added to my toolbox lately is this, a little backup bank, which I think this is spot on. So if you're in a house for maybe a week doing a rewire and you turn the electricity on and off, this will charge your batteries and it will charge your phone as well. And the great thing is what I use this for. I went to a property the other day and she said, I've got a meeting at 11 o'clock. I was like, oh, I'll have to hotspot my internet. I said, whoa, hang about, I've got an idea. I nipped to the van, got this out, plugged her internet into this, and this kept her internet running all day. Yes, she had a laptop, she could have plugged a laptop into it if she wanted as well, but it kept her internet on all day, kept her working, whilst I tested the whole house. Obviously when you're doing an EICR, you've got to rip things on and off, and I'm not going to put certain circuits on because it might trip the RCD in, causing inconvenience. So I said, yes, it's going to be off all day. But then this helped the internet stay on to help the customer keep working and earning enough money to be able to pay me. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, drop them down below. Right, this one is just for some people. If electricians are gone, they're going to rip me. But if you're thinking of being an electrician, like, no, electricians don't really tell people this. So I'm going to tell you. It's one thing if you're working for yourself, the way to keep your customers is to clean up and tidy up after yourself. So one more thing you want to get, just get yourself a little Henry. I tell you, they're 100 quid and you can tidy up and hoover up. The amount of people that appreciate it. Oh, electrician tidying up. It's like surprising to them because we're renowned for not tidying up and hoovering up. Get yourself a little Henry. It's hard. It flows around in the van all the time. It's a spot on little bit of kit. A lot of tradesmen have them to keep the house nice and tidy. So that's a little tip. Don't tell everyone. Electricians do sometimes clear up.